Welcome to Victorious Living. Are you ready to unlock your full potential and experience the abundant life God has planned for you? We all face challenges, but on Victorious Living, we will equip you with practical tools and inspiring stories to help you live a life of victory. Let's prepare ourselves to learn something new today. Before we jump in, let's spread the victory. Share this video with someone who needs a fresh perspective. You were created for greatness. Let's dive in and discover how to live a life of victory.
Welcome to another episode of Victorious Living. This program is totally dedicated and designed for you because you are important to God. And today, here we are to talk to you about what God plans for His mankind. And some questions are going to be answered today. You're not watching us by chance, my friend, because I believe that God knows everything. He knew that you're going to watch us today. He knew that whom are you going to hear today. And I have a word for you, that one word from God can change your life. Today, our episode is totally dedicated to our youth. So if you're a young person or you have a young child or teenager at home, this program is for you. Let's talk about how we can have victory through our challenge. The family we are given, and the life and the church, everything people around us is given to us to ease our journey of life, right? So when we deal with situation, how we can handle them. I have an amazing guest today, and you're going to love her, and you're going to hear things that will change your life. Without wasting time, let's welcome our guest today. Darling, thank you so much for coming.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
And because many people don't know you, I would request you to introduce yourself.
My name is Darlene Hatfield. I live in Pahrump, Nevada. I've been there now since 2016, when my husband and I and our daughter decided to relocate from Reno. I am an elder in my church. I am currently getting ready to go through ministry training with the Foursquare Church, and been working with kids in Bible study since October of 2017 now. I also work for Nevada Outreach. I am the parenting class teacher, anger management teacher. I run the supervised visitation program, and as such, my job has put me in a place to actually learn a great deal about how kids' brains process information differently than adults' brains do, and how that can work for our kids and how it can be used against our kids. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you so much. While you were talking, I felt that in our culture, the culture that I grew up with, teachers are very respected. So when I interacted with you and I saw your knowledge, I said, yes, she needs to come and talk to our young and perhaps young adults. And I have many questions about teenagers. Suppose some parents are watching and they have challenge with dealing with teenagers.
Challenges with teenagers? No, nobody's going to have that, right? Mine's 24 now. I can get away with saying that.
So how do we deal with it? Like, what do we talk and what we shouldn't talk? And tell us something.
I'm not really sure there is a should or shouldn't. I have always found it most effective to talk with teenagers in particular, exactly like I'm sitting here and talking with you. Honest, upfront, forthright. The problem as adults, a lot of times we want to be able to just say it and have our kids do it. And I'm sorry, it just doesn't work that way. They usually need an explanation. That's fine. One of the first trainings I was required to go through when I started with Nevada Outreach was teenage motivational interviewing. So motivational interviewing is simply in therapy. I'm not a therapist, but nevertheless, the techniques can be used by anybody to get people on board with healthy change. The idea is to, I can't think of Dwight's last name right now, but you want to be able to look at two sticks, right? Straight stick, crooked stick. Figure out which one is going to work better for your life going forward. It's just stages of change, but they called it motivational interviewing because it sounds cooler that way. So I had to attend 2 trainings. I had to attend motivational interviewing for adolescents, and I had to attend motivational interviewing. And I was astonished at how different they were. Both of these are techniques to get somebody on board with healthy change, but the reality is with a young person's brain, you just have to approach things differently with more explanation, more understanding that they haven't experienced things like this before. And as such, you want to be able to talk them through things more cleanly. So the nice thing is my daughter was 17 at the time, and I was able to go home because I was 38 when I had her, was 55 when I was going through this training, pretty set in my ways. My husband is 3 years older than I am, and it just frustrated our daughter so much that we just did things. To her, it looked like effortlessly, but what she didn't understand was the amount of experience we had that she wasn't there for. And I was able to come home and tell her after the motivational interviewing for adolescents, babe, guess what? You're completely normal. Dad and I are just old.
That's a wonderful point.
So it's true. We don't necessarily think of everything a teenager encounters as a learning opportunity, and yet every single thing a teenager encounters is a learning opportunity.
When you teach the kids, like, what is the age group?
So the age group, initially when I started at a different church, and it was a standard youth group. So 12 to 17, when they were 18, they were out. And I took that one over when the people who were teaching the youth group moved. So they moved out of Pahrump, and I took the youth group over, and I didn't want to. I'll be completely honest. I thought, Friday nights with teenagers. Oh, no. I have better things to do with my time. And I really didn't. I just didn't want to do it. And then the thought, because God is this way, the thought crept through my head, how many times have you wanted to talk to kids about all the holes in the theory of evolution? What they are learning in school, nobody's teaching the big gaping holes in the theory of evolution. You could do it. And I thought, well, I'll give it a try. Here I am almost 7 years later, or almost 8 years later now, and I'm still working with that age group. And I found out, honestly, I adore this age group. Can they be challenging? Yeah. Do they get ideas wrong? Yes. But they're also like sponges. When things are presented respectfully, clearly, man, they just absorb it like nobody's business.
Wow. So if somebody is watching or parents are watching who the child or the teenager is going through a challenge of identification, because that's what they're struggling with most of the time these days. So identity crisis and worthlessness, like I don't amount much, and maybe I'm short, maybe I'm thin, maybe I'm tall, whatever they're going through. How would you address it when they come in front of you?
So simply put, the way that a teenager's brain works, they are more inclined to, they don't have life experience. So as an adult, our brains take shortcuts, okay? When we encounter a situation, maybe one that we haven't ever encountered before, our brain immediately goes to, oh, hey, this is similar to, and as such, our brain just moves on with that, okay? Teenagers' brains do not have those experiences, so they're constantly learning new. Now, this is a beautiful thing. Our brain was designed to learn new things our entire life, and it is a beautiful gift that God has given us. However, advertisers, online influencers, anybody who can make a buck off of our kids paying attention to them. You mentioned the identification. How about the medical establishment? How about therapists? How about all of these entities that can get our kids hooked on the new, the cool, because teenagers' brains are already wired that way anyways. They love new, cool, unique, one of a kind. They love that. But if an advertiser can get a kid hooked on a $400 pair of Nikes, because that's going to make them somebody special, right? Absolutely, they're going to do it because they want to sell $400 Nikes. How do we counter that? By pointing out to our kids, that's their job. Doesn't mean you have to be a consumer. That is their job, to sell $400 Nikes.
Right.
I'm not insulting that that's the job. I'm just saying no kid actually needs their feet are still growing. No kid actually needs a $400 pair of Nikes, you know? But this is used, and it showed up so much during the COVID shutdown when kids' entire world moved online, with people trying to convince kids this would make them special. And I struggle, and I talk with my kids on Friday nights because our group meets on Friday nights. I talk with my kids on Friday nights all the time about, in particular, the transitioning, and that nobody's being fair with kids. And it just, a kid who goes through puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, all the way up to and including surgery, nobody ever sits that child down and explains to them, you are opting to have healthy reproductive organs removed. Nobody can install the opposite sex healthy reproductive organs. And DNA is not that easy to defeat. You know, if your chromosomes say you're male, you're male. Hormones aren't as important as chromosomes, you know? But I have these discussions with my kids all the time. I have kids who, well, obviously my own child still comes to the teens and 20s group that I run, but I have kids now that have been with me for almost the full 8 years. We were discussing it last Friday night at group. Almost the full 8 years I've had them with me. And they have managed, for the most part, even with COVID, we were shut down for a few months, but not long term. I was the first group to start back up at our church. I even got in there before the pastor did and had my kids come on a Friday night. Because I worked all through COVID, I was not super concerned, right? My kids are just, they know they have a safe, common sense, reasonable place and like-minded friends. And a lot of them have avoided the pitfall, like we were talking about the last time we were in class, of turning 18 and being gone from the church. Most of my kids now that started with me when they were 14, they are now 21. And they still come on Friday nights, and they drive themselves, so it's their choice, you know. So, and I don't see the identity struggles, and I don't see the manipulation. There is hope, and we just have to be really honest with our kids. One of the handouts that I give out in my parenting classes, and my parenting classes are not Bible-based, but they can still be common sense based, you know.
Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you were blessed by this message. Let's use this encouragement to spread hope and light, not only in our own lives, but also in our families and communities. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment and let us know how God is working in your lives. Stay victorious and be blessed.